Have you ever walked into a room and felt the mood before a single word was spoken? Do people call you too intense without truly knowing why? There is a rare kind of person who makes others uneasy, even when they're being perfectly pleasant. Their presence can silence a conversation, and their questions often cut deeper than anyone expects. They are the deep intuitives. This video reveals why these rare minds can feel dangerous. It also uncovers the hidden shadow trap that can lead to isolation and distress if they are not highly cautious, and the path to psychological sovereignty, a state where no form of manipulation can touch them. Carl Jung, the founder of analytical psychology, identified introverted individuals who live through a very special perception function, intuition. Jung himself said, "Intuition is perception via the unconscious." And he described these people as those who process reality through invisible patterns rather than surface details. Today we call them deep intuitives, and they most often correspond to 4 MBTI types: INFJ, INTJ, INFP, and INTP. Jung also observed, the intuitive function is represented in consciousness by an attitude of expectancy, by vision and penetration. But before we go deeper, here are 5 signs that reveal whether you belong among them. Sign 1. They absorb emotional information instantly. When they enter a space, they sense the emotional climate within moments. Tension in boardrooms hangs in the air like a thick fog. Sadness in a bedroom feels like a heavy weight. Conflict in a workplace sounds like a low, simmering hum. They don't just see body language. Their entire nervous system scans the emotional reality of a space. Often, they even know what people are going through: a relationship unraveling, career dissatisfaction, or a hidden struggle with confidence. Sign 2. They see multiple futures at once. When someone shares a plan, their mind generates 3 to 5 possible outcomes automatically. "I'm starting a business" doesn't mean one future. It means parallel visions: success, collapse from lack of capital, conflict between partners, or even a total pivot into something else. They don't predict one path, they anticipate the entire spectrum. Sign 3. They understand complex systems without formally studying them. Give them a short time inside any organization, relationship dynamic, or social structure, and they intuitively grasp how the pieces fit together. They notice unofficial hierarchies, hidden dependencies, points of leverage, because their perception is naturally tuned to pattern detection. This isn't the result of conscious analysis. It feels more like an internal map of how the system really operates beneath its surface description. As Jung noted, intuition gives outlook and insight. It reveals possibilities and what is likely to be effective in them. This is exactly what happens when they map these hidden systems. Sign 4. They experience physical reactions to deception. When someone lies, omits key information, or presents a false self, their body often reacts before their mind does. A tight stomach, pressure in the chest, sudden fatigue, or inexplicable unease. Their physiology detects authenticity gaps like a lie detector or polygraph machine, even when the deception is subtle. Sign 5. They ask the questions that cut deep. In conversations, they seem to have a compass for what truly matters. While others stay at the surface, they instinctively ask, "What aren't you telling me about the money?" Or, "How did that change the way you see yourself?" Their questions pierce through the noise and reveal the core issue others spend hours circling around. Now that we've explored the 5 signs, let's uncover why they make deep intuitives dangerous, in more ways than one. If someone recognizes most of these signs in themselves, they possess something that unsettles people: the sense that they can see straight through them. They can't be easily fooled, manipulated, or controlled because they see through the techniques others use to manage appearances. This often earns them the label too intense. People sense that their usual social masks don't work, and that creates discomfort. Lies are discovered quickly, half-truths are exposed, and emotional games are recognized before they fully unfold. For those who rely on deception, guilt trips, or manufactured drama, this perception is disarming. Their strategies lose effectiveness against someone who reads emotional states directly. Hidden agendas also become harder to conceal, since deep intuitives often sense real motivations early in an interaction. They frequently uncover social dynamics that others prefer to keep hidden, noticing who actually makes decisions, who influences whom, and where leverage really lies. Most significantly, they perceive behavioral patterns that predict how situations will unfold, which makes it difficult for someone to get repeated chances once concerning patterns have appeared. In short, their very presence can feel threatening to those who depend on illusion or control, because deep intuitives reveal the truths others try to keep hidden. For these reasons, their gift makes them dangerous. Not to everyone, but to liars, manipulators, and those who rely on deception to maintain power. But there's another side to this story. The same abilities that make deep intuitives dangerous to others can also become a danger to themselves when they fall into the shadow trap of their own intuition. Here's the crucial truth. Those abilities can destroy you if they remain unintegrated. Many people with these gifts spend years thinking something is wrong with them because they feel too much, see too much, and know too much. That overload often becomes anxiety. It can turn into depression from watching patterns you can't change and a deep sense of isolation from feeling fundamentally different. The hidden trap is believing these abilities make you infallible. When someone becomes convinced their intuitive impressions are always right, they can turn paranoid, judgmental, and alone. They start seeing threats everywhere, real and imagined, and begin treating others as problems instead of people. Jung understood this perfectly through his concept of the shadow and what he called psychological inflation. In Jungian terms, the shadow is the hidden, unconscious parts of us we refuse to own. Impulses, fears, and blind spots. Left unacknowledged, these contents distort our perception and quietly drive behavior from behind the scenes. He explained that everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. For deep intuitives, the shadow can manifest as mystical inflation, where they become possessed by their own unconscious contents and lose touch with their ordinary human self. When someone inflates around their intuitive abilities, they're no longer truly themselves. They become identified with archetypal images of the all-seeing mystic or wise seer. Jung also argued that anyone possessed by such archetypal forces becomes potentially dangerous, not through malice, but through losing touch with their human limitations. But here's what's crucial. Jung never saw the shadow as evil. He said, "I must have a dark side also if I am to be whole." The shadow becomes destructive only when we refuse to acknowledge it. Jung told us, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. True integration looks different. It means owning that you likely have genuine capabilities while staying humble about their limits. As Jung taught, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Intuition supplies remarkable information, but it isn't without risk. Think of it like a map your mind generates, a map that stretches into territories others can't even imagine. But those maps are only sketches of possibility. It's up to you to walk the terrain, test the ground, and discover which paths are real. When integration happens, something exceptional follows. You become resistant to manipulation and deception while staying approachable. You see much, but reveal only what you choose. You can move through social and professional worlds without being controlled by hidden dynamics. You can maintain relationships without being trapped in emotional games. You can make decisions from fuller information, from the maps of patterns and possibilities you see, while others act on carefully managed fragments of truth. This makes you genuinely dangerous to anyone who profits from psychological manipulation. But there's a second integration that's equally crucial: recognizing and integrating the shadow of your intuitive abilities. When you acknowledge the potential for mystical inflation and remain vigilant against it, you mitigate the danger that your own gifts pose to yourself. You stop falling victim to self-manipulation through overconfidence in your perceptions. You cease treating your intuitive maps as infallible territory. This double integration of both the gift and its shadow creates something remarkable. You have a gift, an intuitive radar that explores beyond tangible reality, but you're not supernatural. You perceive what others overlook, yet you stay grounded in evidence. You notice blind spots in others while staying curious about your own, and you never use these abilities as weapons. The goal isn't domination, it's freedom. Freedom from manipulation by others and freedom from self-deception through your own abilities. This is psychological sovereignty, complete liberation from both external control and internal inflation. Integrated in this way, you become genuinely dangerous only to those who live on deception, while becoming profoundly valuable to people who seek authenticity. Before we close, here's a simple ritual to test your own intuition. Every time you feel an impression, pause and ask yourself 3 quick questions. 1. What evidence do I have for this impression? 2. Am I willing to test it in real life? 3. Am I open to being wrong without letting my ego get defensive? If you can name one piece of evidence, test it in reality, and stay open to being wrong, that's intuition, grounded in reality. If any of these fail, that's the shadow speaking. If you're ready to pursue this path of conscious integration, Comment, "I choose sovereignty," and share which of these 5 signs resonated most with you. Your story might help another person recognize they're not alone in this journey. And if this video spoke to you, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Content like this doesn't always get boosted by algorithms, but sharing helps others discover they're not the only ones living with these rare gifts. This is wisdom and happiness. Together we can build a space where deep intuitives don't feel isolated, but empowered. A place where you can integrate your gift with both confidence and wisdom.